Got it. Welcome to John and Julie's Guitar Club. Got it. I'm just fixing the sound here so that we don't have double. There we go. John will be here in just a minute. He's getting a battery. His pedal lost a battery, lost power. And someone is watching back at home.
So is Liam the one who bought the thing?
Yeah, we are on YouTube right now, just so you know. Liam will be one of our students in our guitar workshop.
Okay.
Gonna tune up here.
All right. Awesome. Guitar workshop. Yay!
It's happening on January 28th, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. If you happen to be watching at home, you'll be in person with John and Julie all day long.
That's right.
Master classes, lots of opportunities to play and learn, and then there's a jam session at the end.
Yeah, one of the things we modeled it after is there's a lot of these guitar camps out there that are run by celebrity guitar players.
Hey, we're celebrities.
Yeah, and they
We're
do
stars
great
in our own neighborhood.
They're really good. The only challenge that happens with those is that often there's like 300 or 400 people attending, so there's not a lot of opportunity for
One-on-one.
any meaningful one-on-one instruction. So that's kind of what we designed our course on. We're limiting it to 6 people total. So so it's a 12-hour day with just
intense.
us, and we have tons of material to go through. Julie's been teaching for how long? You've been teaching now?
Since 1997, I think.
Yeah. So
okay, I'm gonna let everybody in now.
Yeah.
Looks like people are coming in.
yeah, cool.
Yay! So that's enough of our spiel.
Yeah, that's our spiel.
Welcome to Guitar Club.
Welcome to Guitar Club. Yay!
We're so happy to have you again. Our first one of 2023.
That's right. Oh, there. Hold on.
Well, happy 2023, guys.
Happy 2023.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy
So
New Year.
exciting, so fun. Is
So-
everybody off to a good start? Got your resolutions kicked in?
Yeah.
As much as we can, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
What was
Already
that?
broken a few.
Hey, what is a resolution if it's not broken?
Right.
So what's that? So what was that post that we saw?
Oh,
You
are you talking about the person who wanted to start a gym called
Yes.
Resolutions? And the first 2 weeks it'll be a gym, and then after that it's a wine bar.
Sounds like my kind of gym.
Right? Woohoo! Oh, look, someone from Ecuador is joining us on YouTube.
Nice.
Wow.
That's
All
awesome.
you people-
Best wishes to you too.
Yeah. So I hope you guys don't mind. We're streaming to YouTube as well.
Yeah, you probably got the notification.
Part of it is that we're trying to promote the upcoming John and
Guitar
Julie Guitar Workshop
Workshop.
on the 28th. So yeah.
Liam, you're joining us.
I am.
Right on. We're getting it all together. Remember the goodie bags, Dustin?
I do.
Got some fun treats for you.
But I also remember it being an amazing time. So I will say, having done this before, any of you who want to join with John and Julie, prepare to get your mind kicked from one side of the head to the other in a good way.
Yeah. Don't you think it's like an unfolding?
Yeah. Well,
It was a
yeah.
lot of fun. It really was.
It's a lot to take in
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah.
Lots to take in, but also the camaraderie and how much fun everybody around you is having.
Yeah.
It's just to be with a tribe of people who, just like this, people who love the same thing that you do,
Yeah.
Right. That's
It's
why
really-
we organized it around meals and breaks and stuff, because then
Yeah.
by the time you get to the jam session at the end, you're just open. You're
Yeah.
just, there's no nerves or maybe some people have a little bit, but it just loosens it up a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's a friendly and open and welcoming environment, which
Yeah.
is
That's what we
that's
want.
everything. That's
Yeah.
everything. It's a non-judgmental, open, what this sort of thing should be. You know,
Yeah.
the pursuit of knowledge and sharing of knowledge
Yeah.
should be.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah,
It's
so
fun.
we were thinking about doing a metronome audition on the way in too. No, I'm totally kidding.
John likes to start those off at
That's not because of me
Don't scare
last time, right?
You don't scare me.
He's in for it. Our friend from Ecuador says he's learned some technical tricks from your book.
Oh, nice.
That's
Nice.
awesome, right?
Oh, that's cool.
Very nice.
All right, cool. So we have an awesome day planned for you, or night, as we should say.
Yeah,
John's still working on his pedal.
yeah,
Right as he plugged it in, the battery just went. Psh.
yeah.
What pedal is that, John? What have you got there?
So this is
John's cousin actually makes pedals.
Yeah, I've got a cousin that actually builds
Really?
pedals from scratch.
Mhm.
So this is by Evan Struhl EMS pedals, and
Okay.
that, this is an
Nice.
There's a glass.
overdrive pedal. It's kind of a clone of the Klon circuit, if you're familiar with that.
Yep.
It's got some heavy gain.
Yeah, well, it's actually
I was going to say, who isn't familiar with that circuit?
yeah. So here's clean. Well, actually, can I borrow your tuner?
Sure.
I was just getting around to tuning, and then the pedal died just as we were starting up. So I've been kind of trying to do that. So okay, so while I'm doing that, one of the questions I wanted to ask everyone is, how do you approach practicing? And there's kind of a multi-layered question. So the first part of the question is, what does your practice space look like? Okay, what do you have in it? And then when you actually sit down to practice, what steps do you take? Okay, so all right. So anyway, so just to finish what I was saying earlier, so this is clean. Okay, and then this is with the Klon pedal on. So it's kind of, it's got some gain, but it's kind of warm too.
It's not gonna be like an ice pick in your ears.
Yeah,
I hate when people use this word, but it's transparent.
yeah.
It adds gain on top of the amp that you're using.
Yeah.
What are you using for an amp there with that pedal, John?
Okay, so the amp I have here is it's a Laney Lionheart. If you're familiar with it, it's like a 112 combo that has like a 5-watt tube head that goes with it. So it's not real loud, but it's a Class A power type of a thing. It's meant to be a recording amp.
Gotcha.
So it's and I've done a few gigs with it. When I was working with Boston Pops Orchestra a lot, I would use this amp with it because I was trying to blend with acoustic instruments. So your power needs completely change in that setting.
Yeah.
You don't
if you bring
need
a
a
100-watt
Marshall
amp
stack.
in, yeah,
Not happening. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, you bring a 100-watt amp into that, and you're fly swatting with a bazooka.
That's cool.
So
So let's talk about practice.
yeah.
Who wants
Yes.
to start?
Yes. Okay. So tell me. So what I'd like to do is, if each of you could tell me two things. One is, what's your practice space set up like, and two, what steps do you take when you practice? Like, what do you do?
Gentlemen, I cede the floor, unless you want me to go first.
Okay.
You can go.
You can go.
All I guess I'll go. So I have a recording desk set up in my apartment here with a couple of KRKs, just like you use, John.
Mhm.
My space is so my background is that I worked in a recording studio right out of college. My degree is in classical composition, classical guitar, and also audio engineering.
Okay.
Worked in a recording studio right out of college, so I have the bare bones home setup to work through in the practice space. So it's a very intentional space, and very much I don't even know what I want to say. Just sort of like developed around being able to just plug in and go with it.
Good.
Okay, so
Simplicity.
when you plug in, are you plugging into a guitar amp or are you plugging into like a DAW plugin, something like that?
Both actually. So I'm a complete plugin addict. I have like right now I'm using the Petrucci plugin just as my sound for tonight.
Okay.
I have Amplitude. I have ML Sound Labs, some of the more rare ones. But as far as amps go, I also have a bunch of stuff kicking around. A couple of Mesa Boogies, a couple of rare Magnetones, stuff like that. It just depends on and you guys saw the Demeter that I have as well.
Sure.
It just depends on the moment and how I'm feeling, what I go to.
Okay.
But lately I've been feeling just the streamlining of being able to plug in, get a sound, and not. It's a duality here because on the one hand, I do want to worry about the sound, and I very much like experimenting with the sound.
Sure.
But on the other hand, I want to be able to, if I have an idea, just very much get it down very quickly. As far as the practicing goes, I'm a little bit all over the place. And this is something I sort of want to talk to you about because these sessions with you have made me realize that a massive gap in my knowledge is scales and chords and the relationships between them. And
Okay.
I don't know if this is something other students might have found, but I have played for so many years. I focused on playing my favorite guitar players' parts.
Sure.
Because it's
right.
like once you master that, you feel a sense of accomplishment. It's like a bit of a crossword puzzle, right?
Sure.
And you enjoy playing it too.
Yeah.
Like,
And you get a great technique out of that, but you don't get an understanding of chord scale relationships. So then when I go to compose, there's a missing piece there. Does
Right.
that make sense?
yeah.
It does. It does. So you learn. So it
Yeah.
sounds like what you're saying is you learn what they do, but you might not be looking at why they did it.
Yeah, that's exactly it, John. Like I learned how to do it. I have the facility to do it,
Right.
not the logic behind why they did it. Exactly.
And that's hard because because everybody's a little bit different in terms of how they think of things.
Mhm.
And I think that the only thing that I can contribute to that is just my own ability to make observations about what I hear.
Mhm.
So okay, so what okay, so how are you approaching your practice sessions? Like if you're going to sit down and practice tomorrow and you're just going to work on writing a new
Yeah.
song.
Well, therein is the question because what I found in the last few months going over this sort of stuff is that I'm a very expensive parrot. Like I have good gear and I can play my favorite players' lines, but when it comes to actually playing, like composing on my own, um, I'm a little bit lost in all of that, which is why I joined your songwriting club, Julie.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, which was a humbling realization for me to realize that you can have a facility, but it's almost like you can, you know the letters of the language, but you don't, and you know the words, but you don't know how to put a sentence together. Does that make sense?
Oh, wow.
So when I was doing martial arts many moons ago, my teacher said something one time, and it really kind of stuck with me. What he said was, "Some people train to train, and others train to fight." You
I
know,
love that.
now, and that I think kind of applies here because, in my case, when I was doing martial arts at the time, I was totally a train to train guy. I did it just because I loved the art of training. I had
Right.
absolutely no designs on trying to become a fighter. For very pragmatic reasons like break hands, career over, right?
We know
So
our priorities.
right. So for me, it's train to train. But so if you carry that over to guitar, if you train to train, then you're doing nothing but scales and arpeggios all day long, and then at the end of the day, you can do scales and arpeggios, right? That's train to
Yeah.
train. Or
Yeah.
like you say, you can play this person solo, this person solo, this person solo, and you haven't connected the dots.
Mhm.
So train to
Yeah,
fight.
for instance, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
That's it. You got it.
Yeah, so for instance, like I can play a John Petrucci solo. I can play one of your solos.
Cool.
Coming up with my own solo, that's a different challenge.
Oh, I can't even play my own solos
The
anymore.
logic behind like
You know
how
what
you guys put
interesting, though?
it together, how you. What's that, Julie?
You know what you'll find as you learn how things go together and work together, your ears have already learned that if you're learning the actual songs. That's kind of why I love just teaching songs. I don't just teach songs, but I
Yeah.
love getting someone from beginner to playing songs as fast as possible
Yeah.
because there's the enjoyment of it. And then along the way, you learn, oh, well, this chord goes with this chord. This group of chords goes together in a key. And then
Mhm.
slowly you're taking it in and you're navigating through these different areas, but you're also still focused on the song. So I
Yeah.
don't think you've wasted any time.
No.
I think what you'll find is
Well-
that, oh, this is the word for that. And now I can use it in this way.
Right.
Well, to your point, Julie, it's almost like that full circle thing where you go to the complex only to come back to the simple.
Right.
And what I did was figure out that, like, yeah, I could play all these parts and these technical things and everything, but I didn't have the deep understanding of basic songs,
Right.
of the basic
Analyzing them
chord
and-
progressions and things like that. So I realized I had to go back to the basics. So as far as practice, what I've done in the last month or so, and I didn't have a lot of time to practice in the last couple of weeks. Tough time for all of us around the holidays. But I was one of the first bands that got me into music was U2. Now, the sonic architecture of that band is very complex, but the songs are not hard to play. So, just playing through those songs and like, one of them, stand-up comedy, is just a D to an A to a B, and then a D to an A to an E. It's as simple as it gets. And thinking about the simplicity of just putting a song together like that, which is not simple.
I know.
complexity-
I mean, we look at it in different ways, different angles. Like a
Yeah.
But if
simple
you get,
song.
sorry.
Oh no, I know what you're saying. Yeah, go ahead.
If you get lost in the complexity of the guitar playing, I mean, the guitar playing doesn't matter anything without a good song.
That's right.
And the riff for that song is an octave, and it's very pentatonic.
Mhm.
It's pentatonic. That's as simple as it gets. And it's rhythmic, but it's direct. And so I guess in the last month, I've been thinking about the simplicity of that sort of thing and not getting lost in the complexity.
Yeah.
With the ability that we're striving for here, we also don't want to lose sight of the actual goal, which is music.
Right. Right. Yeah. Very well said. Very well said.
Thank you.
Um,
I didn't know if I was going too far there, so thank you.
No, that's okay.
We're here to discuss.
Yeah. So okay. So Liam, how about you? Tell us about your setup and then what your practice sessions look like.
So sounds similar to Dustin's. I've got studio monitors here. I've got a Focusrite over here. I've got a little MIDI keyboard down here. Then this one could be MIDI too, but it's more
Yeah.
like just a piano.
Electric. piano.
Yeah. So my wife plays piano. So, but yeah, typically, so I've been using a lot more plugins lately. So I have the Petrucci plugin, which is killer. I'm using the Soldano right now, which I'm still trying to dial in. I'm like constantly trying to dial in sounds, and it's weird because
Story of our lives.
yeah, and it seems like
That's
it
the fun of it.
changes. Yeah, and it seems like it changes every time I plug in. I'm like, okay, I had this guitar with this set, and I save it, but then it's like it sounds a little different today. So
The
it can be a little
barometric
When you say
frustrating.
you have the Soldano plugin, is that the ML Sound Labs, or which Soldano plugin do you have?
It's the Neural DSP.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Yeah. See,
So
I haven't tried the neural yet.
yeah,
Okay.
they're awesome. They're
Okay.
You're gonna love it, John.
crazy good. Yeah,
you're gonna love
Petrucci's is nuts. Like
Wow.
that was the first one I got, and then the Soldano, I was like, wow, Soldano's nice because it's, I don't know. I mean, you can get a lot out of Petrucci's too.
Right.
But everything, like the gain, like everything's gained up crazy. So it's just like you can bring it down and it's still like awesome gain. It's like
Saturated.
you don't need it on, 8 or 10. It's like you bring it down to 4 and it's still
Yeah.
more than enough.
I do love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's
And let's put it this way. God, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm a slag. I keep cutting out. Let's put it this way, John. When I see you guys at the next session at your guitar camp, I may be using a laptop as my amplifier.
nice.
Okay.
They're that good.
Yeah, we'll definitely be able to plug you
Okay.
in. Sweet.
That's amazing.
My apologies, Liam. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay,
no,
so-
no, it's all good.
Okay, so Liam, when you're practicing, what are you working on? Like, what's the practice session look like?
Well, I wish I did have a better practice session, I guess. Like I said, a lot of times I'm working on music, so I'm writing, trying to figure out either melodies or an idea, and it can start from anywhere. Sometimes I might just one thing I did that was kind of cool. There's a guy who just does drum videos, and he'll play like a funk beat or whatever.
Right.
And sometimes I'll just try to play along with him and
Okay.
just like vibe off him. And sometimes I might come up with something that I kind of like.
Nice.
I have been doing a lot more. One thing I started doing was I'll take karaoke tracks and I'll just try to figure out the melodies.
Yep.
Like good old
Sure.
like one that I was doing was this one. You might recognize this melody. Hang on, I just gotta.
So Liam, is your original sound on?
Oh, ours is off.
I don't know. Can you hear my guitar?
I couldn't when you were just playing.
That's why we keep tripping over each other on the Zoom. We got all get the original sound on in the Zoom preferences. Yeah.
No guitar. Hold on. Let me try this.
It doesn't figure us.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
If you know, going back to the old 80s kind of, yeah, exactly. So I was listening to like all sorts of weird karaoke stuff, like Whitney Houston tunes, and I'm just like, can I just pick out the melody from whatever key it is, try to pick out the key and then do the melody.
Well, what's the thing we remember? The melody.
Yeah.
Most of the
Yeah, exactly. So I've been trying to like even lock my students into stuff like that. Like play the melody to these songs and don't just worry about the guitar part.
You know
That's
why
really
that's
good.
why that's awesome is because if you start doing that enough, you'll start to make the association of like how melodies relate to the chords that they're playing against. Do you know what I
Yep,
mean? Like, the way you were
exactly.
just playing it, it sounded like you really knew what the melody should be.
Mhm.
You know, and there's something about, like, I love that. And I one game that I used to play all the time was it was for similar reasons, was like when I was a kid, I spent way too much time watching television. So as a direct result, I can sing almost any 1970s TV show theme song, you know,
Yep.
and So I start kind of turned it into a thing of like, just being able to, think of a TV show's theme song, and then how long does it take me to figure out how to play it on the instrument, and practice that and practice that and practice that.
Some of them
And
are tricky.
yeah, some of them are tricky, but
Yeah.
it's like really great for your ears.
You know what
Yeah,
our friend
yeah.
Amanda Monaco does? She watches the Thanksgiving Day parade and plays along with all the music.
Oh, there you go.
They're all musicals.
Yeah, that's right.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
that's tricky too.
Yeah. So I guess I kind of got the idea from Paul Gilbert, because that's what he's been doing a lot lately, is
Huh.
playing, because he plays a lot of slide now, and he was like saying that he took, like, he can play all the guitar parts on Van Halen 1 or Van Halen 2, probably the whole catalog. I think
Right.
he can play any song ever written.
Yes.
But now he's like, now I'm focusing on Dave's parts and not Eddie's parts. And that was
Right.
I was like, wow, that's kind of cool idea to,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
'cause who wants,
It
I don't
definitely
know.
helps
When
us
it comes to
stretch
Eddie's
out.
stuff, I'm just like, even if I got close to it, I'm still not going to play like Eddie. So
Oh.
I don't always take
What
too
a
much
It's
magical
time
very
out
it's
for
very
that.
Jeff Beck thing to try to make the guitar sound like a human voice and have those inflections.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really
That's
cool.
great.
Yeah.
So Dana, what about you? Like, what's your setup like, and then what are you practicing?
Well, basically, I'm just using a couple of tube preamps into a little 5-watt power amp, um, and it contains a phase inverter, sort of to try to emulate the sag of a regular tube amplifier.
Oh,
Cool.
wow.
So it's kind of fun. Um, it's always fun to get into different types of gear.
Yeah.
It sure is.
Yeah, and I like to have like all the things I'm going to use, like tuner, metronome, my music stand, whatever music I'm going to need. I try to keep it all together, so that way, when the inspiration hits me, I can just, I try to have everything on just like one, all down to one power strip, so that I can just hit one
Ah,
power
okay.
strip and just turn everything on.
No.
I
If
used
there's-
to. It was kind of funny. I used to jam with this friend of mine, and I'd go over her house and to jam, and she'd be like, "Well, I got to get my amplifier. It's upstairs." And then it'd be like, "Well, I got to go get my music stand. It's in the living room. I got to get out in the garage, and I got to get a cord." And she literally had to go like all over the house to collect the stuff. And by the time she had everything together, she didn't really want to play anymore. So I thought to myself, well, that's kind of a good lesson that you
That's
should
huge.
have everything sort of ready to go, so that um, there's the least amount of resistance between the time you're inspired to play and being able to just sit down
I
and play.
know.
Yeah.
I call those psychological hurdles
Yeah.
because each
Yeah.
one feels like an hour, you know? Or I
Yeah.
sit down and then it's like, no, I need a pencil.
Right.
So now I've got my little pencil cup. I even have a metronome that you wind up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I try to have all that stuff sort of together and ready to go.
Very good
Yeah.
advice.
And I also try to keep a schedule, because I do a bit of teaching on the side. And one thing I notice about a lot of my students is they'll come in wanting to learn something, and we'll spend the entire lesson sort of talking about whatever that topic is. And then we'll try to work out some kind of game plan as to how to approach it and how to practice it and work on it. And usually I feel good about the lesson. I'm like, all right, yeah, we were able to like figure out a topic, figure out something this person wants to work on, figure out an approach, what they're going to need to do to work on it. But then they always come back the very next week and they want to learn something completely different.
Oh, I know.
And it's like,
True.
well, yeah, but what about the thing we talked about last week?
Right.
And it'd be like, did you work on that? And it was like, well, no, yeah, I got bored and all that stuff. But
Get a chance.
I sort of realized how much I did that myself.
Right.
And I noticed the longer I've been playing, the more time it takes for me to absorb a topic. Because I remember when I first started learning guitar, it was like I was making all this progress in leaps and bounds. But then it's almost like the longer you go, the longer the plateaus are. I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, I'm a very slow learner. So I have to sort of force myself. I know what I want to do, but I sort of have to like write it down on a schedule and put it on my computer screen so
Right.
that I'm always sort of reinforcing the same topics as I go along.
Right.
Because if I jump from one thing to the next, I mean, that's fun. I enjoy doing that. That's a lot of fun. But then I never learn anything.
You don't make as big leaps and bounds if you're
Yeah,
constantly
for me,
a
yeah.
little thing here. For me, I definitely need the reinforcement or I'm going to forget it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still in there, but then you got to go through the process of learning it again and then learning it again in 6 months. So I love
Right.
this consistency. And then, if you have a list, you got it right in front of you. Oh yeah, I was working on E flat. That's
Because at some point you'll be on the gig and you'll run into that problem and you'll be like, "Oh yeah,
I worked
here's
on
how
that.
here I remember practicing this weakness for about 5 minutes. Well, it turns out it looks like I still need to go back to it."
A
Right.
little bit
Right.
more.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. So, okay. So one of the things, and Dana, you brought up some really great points, particularly your friend who, who had to like chase all over her house to get together all the gear that she needed. Because that's such a great point, and I went through that. So, my setup is very similar to, it sounds like, what Liam has and what Dustin has. Um, but the setup that I have, I use that when I'm going to sit in front of it and make a recording, or I'll use that same setup if I'm gonna teach a Zoom lesson.
Yeah.
Okay, but I have a completely different space setup for practicing. Now the practice space, there's a guitar, there's a little amp, there's a cable, there's a metronome, there's a music stand, couple of pieces of paper, and like a little pair of speakers that will play back anything any music that I'm trying to learn. And the reason why I do that is because I don't want to get caught up in amp settings when I'm practicing. And when I'm practicing, I'm going to be spending many hours basically doing things that I suck at.
That's the hardest
One
part
of the
of
things
this
that I've learned for myself, what seems to work best is if I spend most of my time working on the things that I'm just really terrible at. So listening to me practice is not fun. Because I'm just going to kind of go shit, shit, shit. You know what I mean? Okay, and time to work on my bends. Shit, shit. And then an hour later, it's going to sound a little better. And I think, like Julie and I have actually talked about this a lot. I've been in so many situations. I got hired one time to play the show West Side Story. Boston Symphony Orchestra was going to play the original film in sync with the orchestra,
Oh gosh,
but
that's
with all
hard.
the music stripped out. So they wanted me to play the guitar parts live, and to do it, I had to perform on the gig. I had to perform it, listening to a click track and staying in sync with the click track. Now, I have to tell you that it's by a wide margin some of the hardest music I've ever attempted to play. I mean, some of it was just hard for the sake of being hard. It was almost as if the person who wrote the guitar part had a vendetta against guitar players in general. And it was like, okay, I'm going to torture the guitar player. And worse yet, no one's going to hear it unless I play it wrong.
I played it one time. It was that just one song though.
Yeah.
It was the one where it had all those.
Yeah, tonight. Yeah, tonight. Right.
Oh my goodness gracious! It was so hard.
Yeah,
I
because
think I had to skip some of them, like every.
yeah. So
Each one had a different voicing, and they were like crazy things.
yeah, that was the whole thing. So I'm in the middle of it, and I get to, maybe 2 weeks out, and I'm like tempted to call them and say, look, I can't do it. It's too hard. It's too hard. But then I realized that at 2 weeks out, you can't do that to them. I can't do that to them. I gotta follow this through, and I'm either
You're
gonna,
a champion.
so so I just kind of dove in, and what I kept telling myself was trust the process. And because there was a couple of pieces where the voicings would be something like right, just these crazy voicings, but fast. And none of it made any sense, but that was kind of like, if you played it right, it would be in sync with the music. And I just thought, too hard, do it over and over and over again, trust the process. And then I showed up to the gig, and I got through the gig. I don't know if it was really heroic, but I got through the gig. And I didn't really make any mistake, so I was surprised at how far I got just by showing up, and I think that's my point. So if I'm practicing somebody else's piece of music, that's kind of what I'm going to do. Is I have a method that I use to to go through and and learn that stuff. If I'm writing, or if I'm practicing for technique, or if I'm trying to do something else, it's a different process, I suppose.
Well, we've been learning some new music, and John has this new song called Kuntash.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I mean, he's like, no, I want it to be 200 beats
Yeah.
per minute. So I've been really working with the
It's supposed to be
metronome on that.
fast.
I know, but I just
200 beats per
John,
minute. Like,
I trust
do
the
you
process.
hate like
It's doo-ka-dak-a-doo-ka-dak.
you hate your band members? I mean, wow.
I
Okay.
think he writes things that just challenge us. They're fun, and it's so fun to listen to.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun to
Yeah.
play. But I keep
I
telling
can't wait to hear it.
John's words, trust the process. But if you're showing up, you're practicing it, it's only going to get better.
Yeah.
And sometimes we forget that. We get this frustrating feeling that's like, I'm never going to get it.
Yeah. So, okay, so if I was going to drop any seeds into this, I would say, what helps me the most is every time I sit down and practice, I try to recite the words head, hands, and heart, and then try to get those three things in balance every time I practice, and that will sort of help me figure out what it is I need to pay attention to today. So head is just the intellectual properties of being a musician, hands is the physical coordination, and heart is the creative expression. So, and the goal is to get those three elements, if you're playing, as much in balance as you can. And if you do that, you'll be functioning at your current maximum potential. That's the theory. So, because and I also feel like if you practice in a way that sort of directs, like has some kind of a goal, like Dana was talking about that earlier, like, students come in and say, they want to learn House of the Rising Sun the first week, and then they want to learn Sweet Child of Mine the second week without having learned House of the Rising Sun. Mm-hmm. And that's hard because as a teacher, it sounds like Dana understands the idea that, you can't force somebody to play something that they're not interested in. But on the other side of that, it's also...
We want them to be skilled musicians.
Yeah, I struggle with that all the time as a teacher. I mean, my first teacher was this woman, Mrs. Haywood, who just, her biggest gift to me was how much enthusiasm she had for teaching little kids. Mm-hmm. So, that for me, that was huge. Okay, so I had a little thing, now that we've gone, let's
Well,
see,
someone
almost
on YouTube,
says,
is it Lillian? They say, please play the new music. So I'm just telling them we'll be releasing a new album very soon. We're recording it.
Can't wait for it, guys.
Same for us.
been a while since we've had a John Finn group album. So
I know.
Okay, so okay, so
Do you want to show us? You said a chromatic.
yeah,
warm-up.
so okay, so I've got a little chromatic warm up exercise that I do sometimes, and there's a couple of layers to it. So it's you're basically playing a chromatic scale in 3 octaves, starting here and then ending here. Okay, so there's lots of ways to play chromatic scales. One of my favorite ways to do it is to put 4 notes per string. Now, if I do that going across the 6th string starting at the 8th fret, then 5th string starting at the 7th fret, then 4th string starting at the 6th fret, then 3rd string starting at the 5th fret, then 2nd string starting at the 5th fret, then 1st string starting at the 4th fret, then I'll end up to C. So, okay, and then coming backwards, everything is a fret higher. So starting at the 8th fret, then 9th fret, 9th fret, 10th, 11, 12, and then back to 8. Now, there's a few things that I like about that. One is that it creates that 4 notes per string association, which kind of makes the picking of it like a lot more symmetrical.
Because
right?
we're used to doing 3 or 2.
Right.
Right.
Right. So that's one thing. Also, it also pretty intuitively points out what I call the warp refraction threshold, which is that major third tuning between the 2nd and 3rd strings. Right, because everything else you're either going away from you by a fret if you're going upwards, or towards you by 1 fret if you're descending. Okay, so to do it 3 octaves, it's essentially the same thing, except that you can pick one of the 1 or 2 of the strings and do 8 notes per string instead of 4. So if I do 4 notes on the 6th string, then 8 notes here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See how I did that?
Nice.
Right? Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then 8 again. Okay? So you see how I did that? So I'm basically picking a string to play 8 notes on. Right? So it might be a little bit different each time, but I'm either playing 4 notes on a string or I'm playing 8 notes on a string.
So forgive me, John, for not fully understanding this, but when you're shifting there, are you shifting in octaves or?
No. So if I'm shifting, so here I'm going to go frets 8, 9, 10, 11, right? And then on the next string, I'm going to do 8 notes. So I'm going to go 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Then on the same string, 11, 12, 13, 14. Because we're moving in half steps.
Oh, okay.
So
Makes
8,
more
9,
sense.
10, 11, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Got it.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you don't have
Sorry,
to
the
make
video's
up.
cutting in and out, so I can't exactly follow as you're playing, but
That's
it
cool.
makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to make up all the notes on the E string.
And
Right.
kind of go.
Right. Okay. So Liam, that makes sense?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Dana, that makes sense?
I think so. Yeah, I think I got it. So I guess so. Is it that you're picking two strings to play 8 notes on? Maybe I missed that part.
So let's see. How many strings would we need? So
So that's the first one.
If we're doing 3 octaves,
So right there, John, you did 5th string and the 1st string. You played 8
Yep.
notes.
yeah. But any of them would work. You just don't want to do all the notes on the 1st string.
right. Exactly. You see, there's I don't know how many variations, but there's a lot of variations. In other words, there's way more than one way to do it.
But would you ever play more than 8 notes on a string?
You could.
Well, it depends on what the figure is. In this particular instance, all we're doing is doing a chromatic notes exercise.
Right.
You know, and this is one solution to get it to smoothly play 3 octaves.
Hmm.
Right? Because, you know, to Liam's point, if we do it this way,
It sounded like a Tom and Jerry.
Django Reinhardt line right there.
Oh, there you go.
Right. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, so that's the problem that we're trying to avoid.
Well, let's pick 2 strings to play 8 notes on. Just pick them.
Yeah, but it sounds like to avoid that, you have to have at least 2 strings to play 8 notes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
And you can
yeah.
pick any of them.
And then you could pick any of those 2 strings. So you could do 6 and 5, you could do 6 and 4, 6 and 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so how much?
Whatever all the
Just gonna
permutations
go
of that
right
is.
right in a row.
So if I do this, how many times am I playing 8 notes on one string?
1,
There's 1, 2,
2. Oh, 3.
Well, so 3 really. Yeah.
Oh, so it's 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So that actually limits the possibilities then.
Could you do 6,
Right.
6 on all of them?
Huh?
Could you do 6 notes on all of them? Would that be really tricky? Oh, you wouldn't be able to move down
Well,
by 1 fret.
okay. So
You'd have to move down like 4 frets. So that's not really gonna work.
So Dana, I want you to try something for me. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So do the thing, but now what I want you to do is every time you play a note with your first finger when you're ascending, what I want you to do is stop and name the note as you're playing it.
Wow.
How fast or slow can I go? Or?
Slow.
200 BPM.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Not my tempo.
Yeah.
Too late. No.
You never know fear until you've been on a jazz gig and somebody asked Cherokee at 320.
Oh God.
Anyway, okay. So
Cherokee, ready? Verse, bridge.
all right. So you go. So if we start at C, we go E, A flat, D flat.
Okay, careful.
What's that?
So after A flat, it should be C.
C. So we're gonna go. Oh, sorry. C, E, A flat.
Yeah.
C, F,
A flat, right?
E flat, F sharp. No?
Okay. So if you do it right, you should
You
be
either start on A flat or C.
You should be spelling out a C augmented triad. Okay, let me
Oh,
show
I
you.
see.
So C,
Yeah.
E, G sharp or E
A
flat,
flat.
C, E, A flat or G sharp, C, E, A flat, C.
C, E, A flat, C, E, A flat, C, E, A flat. Ah! I don't know, I'm
Right.
missing.
Neato.
Right.
Technically, it's a G sharp, right?
G sharp. Yeah, either way.
That's
Yeah.
right. John B says start at 200 and work up to speed.
You first.
I think I might have to start a little slower than that.
Okay, so the point is, like when I was messing around with these, as soon as I realized that the first finger spelled out a C augmented arpeggio, that made that exercise much easier to play.
Then you can visualize where the
Yeah.
note is,
Yeah.
where you're starting.
Yeah, Liam, you want to try it?
That. Yeah. Let me.
Okay, this time start on B flat.
B flat.
Yeah,
200 beats per minute.
And I'm just gonna go with a cleaner tone. All right. Let's.
Okay, so start on B flat, which would be 6th fret. Yeah.
So you won't be able to hear me because I have to click back and forth. So when I'm playing, you won't be able to hear me talk. But
Okay. Okay.
did you want me to? Well, I can't call out the note names, but here we go.
Okay. Good. Now, when you come backwards, you're going to be using the same 3 notes as references, except now you're going to be landing with them on with your pinky. So coming backwards, it's going to be B flat, and then G flat, D, E flat, G flat, D, B flat, G flat, D, B flat. Yeah,
That's
you almost
it.
had it.
I'll get it. Yeah, going reverse is definitely a lot harder for
Yeah.
me anyway.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, all you have to do is keep track of what note your pinky is playing.
Right.
B flat, so B flat, G flat, D, B flat, G flat, D, B flat, G flat, D, B flat.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot the notes because I like choked under the pressure.
Just play it without worrying about the note.
I know.
Cool. Okay, Dustin, you want to try it?
He's doing it.
Oh, sorry.
I think you
I keep
doubled.
landing.
You doubled.
I keep landing weird somewhere.
On
Right.
the 5th string, I think you doubled a note with your first finger and your pinky.
Yeah,
D.
so it's like right there. I keep landing on B for some reason. I'm starting on B flat.
Well,
Oh,
your,
wait.
your first finger will slide down. That's the last note you play. So
Oh, okay,
the
yeah,
last
that's right.
group of 4 will end on the B, and then you.
Okay,
double.
so
Right.
yeah, so I did have it.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. See, that's the thing with if you play this right, what will happen is that the descending portion, everything will be laid out, mapped out 1 fret higher than when you were ascending. You know, because the last thing you do is the pinky slide from the, from the penultimate note up to the last note, right?
Yeah, and it helps you kind of roll right back around, so you can just kind of.
Right. Right.
That's
So
a good exercise.
okay, so if we go back to head, hands, and heart, that's every bit as much a head exercise as it is a hands exercise, because it's actually asking you to identify the notes you're playing as you're playing them, and it's actually, sort of taking into account that you might not play it exactly the same way every time. That you kind of have to, that you're making a series of decisions to go up and down. Right? So that's one of the reasons why I really like it, because, so basically the way to practice is take 5 minutes at the beginning of your practice routine, and then just pick a starting pitch. Like if I do it from A, nope, I messed up.
I heard you doubled. You doubled on one.
Uh, that's it.
That's it.
Uh, yeah. So,
Very cool. Thanks.
so it's a good thing to, it's a good way to warm up. Now, Julie, you had some practice routines
Oh yeah,
too.
I have some practice videos, but it was really because one of my students had said they found some scales online, but they were only like someone playing that they could play along with. but they wanted to do arpeggios and they wanted to do triplets and stuff. So it was a goal of mine to get every single key, but I still think I have 4 keys left to do. But on each key I did all of the modes in eighth notes, all the modes in triplets, so 3 notes per string. I did triad arpeggios and 4-part arpeggios.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to practice along with those, there's a playlist. It's called 10-Minute Practice
So where is it? It's on
on
YouTube?
YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
And the funny thing is, at first I was trying to get them so there were no mistakes. And I'll tell you, it took a long time. And sometimes I'd have to put a little thing that said whoops,
Yeah.
on the screen. And then I just said, you know what? That's what practice is. So I would sometimes you lose your focus if you're just doing 10 minutes of like one scale, and it was such an exercise in mindfulness and many things. But some days you're mindful for the full 10 minutes. Other days you can only keep it up for maybe a minute. But in the end, it was such a good experience and people are liking them. So if you guys want to check it out.
I've actually seen those on your YouTube channel, Julie.
Yeah, they're out there.
Very helpful.
And
Definitely.
eventually I'll do every key. It's funny because I'll see someone watching, oh, wow, B flat's really popular this week. Or then, oh, A, someone's on A now.
C sharp minor, the easiest of all keys,
We love that for guitar.
Exactly.
So, John, I wanted to throw something in here and kind of get your take on it. You mentioned the warp refraction threshold
Yes.
from your book earlier.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've stumbled on this week, and I just want to throw it out to the group and see if it will help anybody else, or I'm sorry, not this week, but this past month. I picked up a book on Kindle from a gentleman who actually, in all of his work, references your warp refraction threshold. Might have been a student of yours, I'm not sure. I was looking it up here to see what his name was. Give me 1 second. Do not mean to hold the group up. I apologize.
I'm interested.
Graham Tippett.
Bram Tippett?
Graham Tippett is his name. Yeah.
Haven't heard of
But what I found to be useful from his system is in terms of laying out the scales on the guitar. He basically talks about the fact that I've been practicing it in A mixolydian, right? The general concept being to play first finger, 6th fret, and then the pattern with 4th finger at that same fret.
Yeah.
And then to move that around to each of the root notes on each string. And in so doing, essentially simplify the approach to understanding each scale, each key over 12 frets. Does that make sense? Or
sort of?
Well, it does open it up because sometimes we think mixolydian is this shape,
Yeah.
It's this one shape. But then
Right.
if we think, let's switch to the pinky playing the root, then we have a whole new amount.
right.
Of
So that's his.
data.
It made a lot of sense to me. On top of the system that you guys had talked about in your guitar camp, the idea of taking a pentatonic and then adding or subtracting tones.
Right.
This is a little more mechanical, but at the same time, it's been good practice for me, and it might help the group just to, learn these patterns and then take it to this next A, string by string, and
That's really important, isn't it? It just
Do you
opens
s-
up the whole fretboard and you're not just stuck in a shape.
Yeah.
That's
It
kinda
was-
what I was
oh, I'm sorry, Liam, go ahead.
Does he do it starting on each different finger or just first and pinky?
The idea of the
Sure.
concept is to simplify literally just these 2 patterns and then move them around the fretboard.
Oh, okay.
I have always struggled with overcomplicating learning the scales as I go through. And what I found, and I don't think it'll work for everybody, but for me, it made it a lot simpler from a mechanical standpoint to know where the the first, the third.
Mhm.
Everything is in relation to the root, because it also makes you think about where the root notes are and where
Yes.
you are in relation to the root notes as you're playing.
Important.
So one of the things that I think about a lot, um, going to what you just said,
Mhm.
one of the things that I sort of inadvertently did with that first book that I'd written was associated. Here's the Mixolydian fingering. Here's
Yeah.
the Aeolian fingering, and I didn't mean to do that. What
Mhm.
I was trying to do was to give a solution to each problem, but it was really more. The book was really written more about the relationships of how that stuff ties together.
Interesting.
Um, but because the way I was taught it was I was expected to be able to play any scale and any key, starting on from any degree and from any finger in any position.
Sure.
You know,
That's the ultimate
and
goal.
yeah, and by doing that, I ended up playing an awful lot of fingerings that I knew I would never ever use again.
Mhm.
You know, so when I wrote the book, I was kind of going for just a totally different way of approaching that, trying to explain some underlying concepts. But I knew that to really explain every corner of it, the book would be 4,000 pages. You know, and I don't know about you, but I come across a book that's 4,000 pages, I'm like, nope.
No, thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
So that was one of the things I was really aware of was page count when I was writing the book.
Hmm.
But to what you're talking about, actually, I should probably say this too. When I was working on the book, one of the problems I was trying to solve was, I started when I was working on modes, was having a 3 note per string fingering for every mode. So G Ionian, then G Dorian, then G Phrygian, the G Lydian, right, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So the thing that I found was that once I got those fingerings under my those under my fingers, anytime I went to play B flat Mixolydian, I would always play it like
The same position. Yeah.
right.
Always start.
I think we're hitting on the same thing here, John, which is the difference between the mechanical and the understanding of the logic of the fretboard.
So the way I break it down is 2 boxes: what it is, where it is. Okay, so what it is B flat Mixolydian. Where it is how you play it.
Okay.
In other words, make a distinction between what the thing is that you're trying to play versus where in the instrument are you going to play it.
But the thing
Yeah.
about modes that got me in the beginning was this is Mixolydian, all right? If I play G Mixolydian, Ovonian, I
Right.
always,
Right.
it was like, then I realized
It's the
oh,
harmony.
chord progressions. That's
Harmony.
where you get the
Yeah.
most. So I think it's important to differentiate the two. There's the shape, there's the notes, there's the harmony, there's the sound.
Absolutely.
But definitely getting it under our fingers is the first big step.
Right, what it is versus
Yeah.
where it is. Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, if you're Alan Holdsworth, it's everywhere.
John B is talking about on YouTube. We have our friends here on YouTube. He's saying that he was talking about Alan Holdsworth and how fast he played things.
Yeah,
Because we were talking about the fast things.
yeah.
That's so funny that it came up.
I went on Amazon and ordered my
Especially that.
Alan Holdsworth finger extensions. They haven't arrived yet.
No,
So
they haven't.
Very, very long fingernails, John. That's how.
Yeah.
yeah.
I will say I watched one of his videos. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but he's got like a chart next to him.
Yep.
And it is like, I mean, the guy's incredible, but that was like the most useless thing I'd ever watched in my life.
What?
I was just
Oh,
like,
really? As
this
far as a
is not
tutorial
helpful
video?
to. Yeah, it was because the way he was explaining it. I mean, it was more just an explanation. He wasn't really giving you any like practical kind of like how to apply this stuff. He was just talking, and I was just like, this is, I don't know. Even if you understand a lot of it, I don't think it would really help that much. But it was just, I think that's where some people are great players and some people are great teachers too. But
It's
not always
I know
one
Lou-
for one.
I think his
Sorry,
harmonic
Liam.
theory and his approach to the guitar is just so groundbreaking and different than how a lot of us think of the guitar and harmony.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I mean, he might be in his own world and
Yeah.
just taking for
Yeah,
granted
yeah.
that we kind
He
of are
definitely
already
is.
over on that side of the fence.
Yeah.
Maybe he should have started it.
Somebody explained to me that one of the now I don't know if this is true, so I'm getting this information either secondhand or third hand, but one of the things that Alan Holdsworth built a lot of his concepts on was sort of tossing out the idea of diatonic harmony and replacing it with groups of intervals. So, as a simple example, he might take a voicing of fourths, right,
Yeah.
and put it in the key of G. So if I play, so I've got a perfect fourth, and then I've got an augmented fourth. So in the key of G, it's going to be these three notes.
Oh, that sounds like it.
Chordal harmony. Not chordal, but Quartal.
Right, right.
Harmony, yeah.
And then his lines are built over those shapes, right?
Right. Exactly. So, and then you take that to any group of intervals, like say, let's say a second and the fifth.
Yeah, I noticed he does a lot of clusters of 3 notes at a time.
Right.
Well, he doesn't like your typical like major 7 kind of voicing.
Right.
Like he thinks that's horrible.
Not even close.
It's so blasé.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's definitely he was on another planet.
Imagine another group of people on this planet that are talking about this level of guitar nerdery. I love it.
This is pretty
You can
guitar
find
nerdery.
it here at Guitar Club.
Exactly.
You're a guitar club.
Okay. So,
I think Wayne Krantz has a similar approach.
yeah.
Like that. He wrote a book that's just all these different permutations.
Yep.
And
Really?
you can kind of create harmony off of it. Yeah, it's called the Improviser's OS.
Wayne Krantz wrote a book about this?
Yeah, it's on his website.
Yeah. I got to check that
I'm
out,
gonna
actually.
check that out too.
I do too. Wow.
Because he's another guy who's really got his own thing going.
Yeah.
Very much so.
That's a really special thing in this day and age.
I saw him do a clinic one time at Berkeley, and he took a minute, said, said, here's a cool thing to do. Put the metronome and have the metronome clicking on 2 and 4, right? Then take a chord you don't play on that often, like let's say C minor 7 flat 5. Okay? And then like work on all the notes of a C minor 7 arpeggio, C minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio. Okay? Then put the metronome on, improvise using only the notes in the chord, but don't play it as an arpeggio. So,
Oh wow.
It's almost as a chord melody thing with chord segments and then
Tones as a
and
melody.
then part of the associated scale. Wow.
well, the thing that really kind of blew me away about that was that when he was doing it, how nice it sounded, and then all he was doing was just playing chord tones.
Yeah.
So like if we go back to the idea of head, hands, and heart, like this is the sort of the creative end of it. It's that you take those you take those music theory oriented arpeggio ideas and then kind of force music out of it. So that's stuff like that is awesome, I think.
We have a fun thing happening in our chat on YouTube too. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
I've been spending some time there. John Barry's visiting us.
John Barry.
And there's
John
also
Barry.
another John B.
Okay.
We were talking about Alan Holdsworth. Okay, sorry.
very cool.
I don't mean to.
All right. So
It's all wonderful here and there.
yeah. Okay. So all right. Well, that's about all the time we're gonna have for today.
We're gonna see Liam on the 28th.
Yep, Liam's gonna gonna hang with us on
We
the
have some
28th.
other people who have expressed interest. We got 5 spots left.
So John, quick question. Did you get
Yes.
my email?
When did you send it?
It was probably soon after the last guitar club. So I had the links to tracks and stuff like that.
Oh, to your song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
Do you want to share them? Can we share one?
I would love to hear one.
Sure.
I'm sure the audience would too.
Yeah, there's a lot of people up watching us now that love guitar.
Okay.
And Liam, are these your own compositions or?
Yes, everything that's out there is mine.
Very cool.
Well, except I also sent you a Christmas thing I did, which
What,
we're
what
past
do you-
Christmas, so it's kind of. But that was just a medley of, I don't know. There's like, I don't know how many melodies are in it, but it's kind of a
what email-
Trans-Siberian Orchestra type of deal.
What
But,
email did
yeah.
you send it from?
Did you send it to John and John Finn?
No, I sent it to your Berkeley, whatever the
Hey, Fade
What'd you
Apart-
say?
Okay.
J Finn at Berkeley,
Yeah. And
if
you know
that's
what?
right.
It's not coming up actually.
Shoot.
But
If it's
it's
Trans-Siberian Orchestra, then Alex Skolnick will be slightly jealous, I'm sure.
I didn't hear that for sure.
Liam Bliven. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Because I Okay, so I got the only email I have from you from that email is asking about the guitar workshop.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Although let me check another source.
It would have been close to whatever the date of the last guitar club was.
Yeah.
Beginning
If
of
that helps.
Hey, Mark Grab's here. Welcome.
I mean,
Mark.
I can link if you want to.
Okay, wait a minute.
Whoops.
You have it on SoundCloud or something like that?
Or just put it in the chat. We can play
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Let me find it real quick.
Thank you, John B.
Let's see. All right.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, you have it? Okay.
Yeah.
Boy, I don't know why I did.
That's okay, Mark. We'll be back again in a month. This video will be on YouTube permanently. Okay, so let's conversations featuring. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, this one's got Derek Sherinian on it.
That's right.
Amazing.
So we're gonna share this.
Great keyboard player.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm gonna move this over here. Can you guys still see that? Where did
I can see that somebody's been getting paid $1,000 a month, if not more.
Yeah.
Hold on, I did something. I lost her. Okay, there. Let's try this again. Okay, now we're good. Now I can see everybody.
There we go.
I'll skip the ad.
Hmm.
Oh, there's no sound. Oh,
this app on my phone.
Is
And I don't
everybody
know.
hearing the audio?
Got it now.
you
Yep.
can hear the audio? Okay, cool. And let's skip this lady.
Oh, that's a different track.
Is that okay?
Yeah, you can play this one. This one isn't the one
I
with Derek
skipped
though.
ahead. Here it is.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right. Beautiful.
Man.
Wow.
Man, Liam, that is killing.
You have such good tones.
Yeah,
I love the acoustic guitar in there and the wah. And then is it a live drummer?
No, so I programmed that
Okay.
whole drum part.
Really?
That was nice.
Yeah,
What did you use to program that?
it was just in Logic. Just
Like
one of
tune
the-
track drums or the?
I'm trying to remember now, which I think.
I'm sorry. Well, you're trying to remember. I'm just gonna say, like, what the hell am I doing sitting in a room with you guys? I'm
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
stop.
no, for real. I mean, that's fantastic, man. For real. I love the wah
I-
tone on that. I mean, Derek's keyboard tone. It's got to be one of
Yeah.
my
Getting lots of thumbs up and enthusiastic responses from
Yeah,
me.
for
Thank
real.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
I was gonna
Good
say,
job.
yeah, the acoustic guitar track,
Wow.
you know, like
Yeah.
the
so
way
many
that,
surprises.
yeah, the harmony, you know, I love the harmony in it, you know, like, and I think my favorite thing was that there's a lot of really intense playing, but you never actually overplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so initially that acoustic part, I had a kind of an organ solo, like a B3 kind of solo in there.
Right.
And then when Derek was saying, "Hey, I'll play on your track," I sent it to him, and I can't. Actually, I may have done it just before I sent it to Derek. So then I changed it to the guitar solos,
Oh, that was
and I
fun.
wanted him to trade off, but whatever he did on there, I kind of liked what I played on the guitar through that part. So
Right.
Yeah.
because I was
Right.
gonna have a trade off there too, but I was like, I kind of like because I already had there was a melody there that I had already written,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
most of it was kind of composed.
Well, the texture just went left, you know. It was
Yeah.
like, oh wow, what a
Yeah.
Yeah.
neat transition.
And then if you notice the first guitar, the heavier guitar solo, you hear the keyboard come in,
Yeah.
but then, so I liked how that came in, but then I just kind of swept it into, I just kind of found that note and then took the guitar solo from there.
Right.
And of course, he made me step up my guitar solo because it really sucked before. When he played, I was
come
like,
on.
all right, I got to do something a little better here because I'm not,
that was a
in the
good
same league.
solo that he did.
I'm still not in the same league as him, but
I love the rhythmic nature of the track too, Liam. I mean, just the time signature changes and the way that you're playing around with the rhythm is fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's all. Al Di Meola is kind of all
Yep.
the Latin kind
Yep.
of
It
flavor.
was definitely
yeah.
had that Latin feel.
Very precise rhythmic. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that stuff. So
Yeah, it was cool. You know, it was really cool because, you know, like your feel is like straight down the center line.
Mhm.
You know, which
Good timing.
you know, it's really easy to rush those figures, and you don't.
Mm.
And if you play them too far behind the beat, it stops feeling like rock too.
right.
You know, so you know like you know, like, man, like you get all 16 cylinders running, as far as I'm concerned. That was
Nice.
really.
Very
I'm
cool.
floored.
That was
Cool.
fun.
That wah tone on that part was fantastic.
I
Yeah.
know, in the wall.
Is that a plugin or were you using an amp?
I know. I'm trying to remember now because I had recorded this a few times and it's kind of morphed over time.
As you do. Yeah.
Like I changed up the rhythm part that was behind the acoustic, behind the classical solo or the nylon string solo.
Oh, that
I think it
come out
was
of
just
left field. That was fantastic, man.
I think it was just a plug-in at that point. I just had a wah pedal going into whatever plug-in. I think I was using the Paul Reed Smith plugins
Right.
from
Ooh.
Waves. On
They
that.
are fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounded amazing, and I loved. I'm glad you mentioned the nylon string part because I love that you dropped that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really added to the track.
Yeah, I really liked it, and it was kind of a cheap. It's not a very great guitar that I played it on, but I don't know. It came out. It came out good, and I had a good guy that mixed it and mastered it. So
Eddie Van Halen did everything on a parts guitar that he put together.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
now in the Smithsonian. It's not the guitar; it's the player.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
That was really great.
Yeah, I'm gonna check out. You have more stuff on that channel. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, there's a few more on there. but I sent you all the links. And,
Okay.
Darn,
cool.
All right.
gotta
Well,
find that email. Would you mind
it's-
sending it again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
may-
I'll check
Forward
my.
it again if you can find it.
I
I'll check my
might be able to find it, but I like just the first.
Did it go to your trash?
Let me try
I
this.
don't think it would have because you got another email.
What was the date of the last one?
10/26/22.
Has it been that long?
Wait, didn't we have one in?
No,
Probably December.
this was the email. The email that I received. You sent October 26th, and you were asking about the guitar workshop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we
But the
must-
last guitar club was what? December.
It was
probably
December.
the first week of December.
Yeah, might be December 7th.
Yeah,
I think it was the 7th,
Okay.
actually.
it'd be
Okay.
a Monday night.
Or the
December
Probably
5th.
like
Yeah,
that
It was
or
December 5th.
December 5th.
December 5th. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not coming up.
Yeah, that's weird. So next time, do you guys want to pick a date? I think it'll be that first Monday in February.
Sure.
The 6th? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
We love sharing everyone's
Works for me.
music. If anybody wants, Dana, you got music to share?
Yeah, my magnum opus is still in progress.
All right.
Okay.
Well, maybe we'll have something to share next time. But we do have a gig for those of you that live in Massachusetts. The John Finn Group will be playing at the Red Lion Inn in Cohasset on January 19. And it's going to be an extravaganza.
Yeah.
We
What-
had a
what day is
rehearsal.
that?
It's a Thursday, which is very weird. I
Oh.
know. But this
I used to
wonderful
live in
place-
Norwell, so
Was
I
that
was
right?
Oh,
pretty
okay.
close.
Real
I
close to
graduated
that.
from Norwell.
Okay.
Home of Susan Tedeschi for all you who.
Oh, she's
Right.
from Norwell too. Gosh, a lot of cool guitarists come from there then.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so 6th at you just put it in.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
At 7 o'clock. And are you guys still doing the guitar experience on the 28th?
Yes,
Yes.
we are.
Yeah.
Liam's coming.
I will be there.
Yeah.
Stoked.
And yeah, and we'll just so we'll get that, and I'm trying to think,
Anything else happening? Oh, Songwriting Club is next Saturday.
Oh.
Can you join us?
What's the date on that, Julie? Because I've missed the last one or two.
It will be
Because of some scheduling conflicts. What's the date
14th.
and time?
January 14th. I'll send out an email later in the week.
Okay. What's the time on that one?
Oh, 2 p.m.
Got it.
Now, if
Oh,
any
that's
of you
wonderful.
on YouTube want to join us, we have Songwriting Club on Saturday at 2 p.m. Send me an email through the website. You can actually sign up for the mailing list. You'll see it in the menu. We have a lot of clubs now. We've got Ukulele Club, we've got Guitar Club, we got Songwriting Club.
we're a club couple.
We love the idea of a club. It's more like a community.
Yeah, that's right.
what's important to us. So,
It is.
All right.
yeah.
Well,
So
great.
thanks so much for joining us this week. Happy guitar playing over the next month. We can't wait to hear what you've done with the chromatic scale
Yeah.
in your practice sessions.
Yeah. Well, see if that's helpful. I'm
a
gonna
good
bring.
warm-up.
Actually, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share a link with you guys if you wanna see it.
That chromatic one's interesting because typically it's always been the four. It's not really chromatic, but it's just the
Yeah.
four across, and
Four
then
across.
doing like 1 2 3 4 2 3 4 1 blah blah blah.
Right.
So that one's kind of cool because you're actually
Yeah.
Steve, I had a cool one.
playing the chromatic scale.
Have you guys
Huh.
heard that one? That was from
When did you join King Crimson, Julie?
I know.
That's Steve Vai.
Wow.
Oh,
Remember
that's
when he
almost-
had that article
I love
about
that.
his 10-hour
Yeah.
practice.
yeah.
That was his warm-up.
That's almost like the
Spider
Kirk
Finger.
Hammett's Four Horsemen solo.
Oh,
Yeah.
Where he does that. Or
that's very similar.
just kind of a just
Chromatic,
threes.
Yeah, it's hard
No,
to
I-
get the threes over the four strings. You have to
Yeah.
read the accent.
I just sent you an email.
Okay.
I'm gonna look that up, Julie,
We're
because
sharing.
that's an ear-catching one as well.
So
Yeah.
can you copy that link into the?
Oh, Liam, while they're doing that, the 4 note per string across the strings that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Ben Eller has this sort of I don't know if you follow his YouTube channel. He has this sort of thing where you excuse me. Just move one finger to the
Oh,
next string
yeah.
at a time. But then what I found was useful for me was starting with an upstroke, because then you get some inside picking going on,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good
and
idea.
that actually tripped me up more than I thought it would. And I had to take my time to get that under my fingers. Perhaps your students will find it useful.
Yeah. If I can get them to do that.
That's the trick, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like
It's
1% of students that will actually do that.
right.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so just the last thing, I put a link in the chat box for a directory of warm-up exercises that I give out to my Berkeley students, in case you guys are interested in those.
Oh, awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Wow.
We got to run,
yeah.
but
Right.
we're so excited you joined us, and we'll see you next month. And we'll see you on the 28th.
Yes.
Yes. Looking
All
forward
right.
to it.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.
Okay. Have a good night.
Take
Good
care.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.